Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Overwatch League fan thoughts analysis video. A day later than usual, but I was out of town this weekend and was unable to watch pretty much any Overwatch League matches, and I got home very late. So I had to spend yesterday catching up on all the matches, or at least to some degree, seeing what happened, following some of these big stories. So, video's a little late. I obviously, unfortunately, don't know everything about all these matches. I didn't watch them all in their entirety. I've been preoccupied with Fire Emblem, but regardless, let's jump into this week and start by looking back at this past week, which obviously wasn't around for most of it. So a lot of the stuff I didn't end up watching, but I'll just give you kind of my thoughts briefly. We'll do a quick rundown of all these matches before we go into next week's stuff. Week opened up with the Paris Eternal taking on the Houston Outlaws, and it was a victory for the Eternal. The Eternal, obviously, a team that it's a good win for them. A team that's definitely looking to be in that top 12. That's a good win for them. They've been showing up pretty well at times, and when you have Soon and Shadowburn able to play their best heroes, it's a very, very good thing to see. So a very good match there for the Eternal. LA Gladiators beating New York Excelsior. I picked New York Excelsior. I'm not that surprised, though, that New York lost. I've kind of, in my mind, been saying that New York could very easily go 3-4 this stage. It's a very tough stage for them in terms of their schedule, and I think they could definitely drop a lot of matches this stage. We'll see how they do going forward, but the Gladiators get a big win there to help keep them in the top 4 hunt, and especially in the top 6 race. They have a lot of tough matches ahead of them, so wins where they can get them is good. Guangzhou Charge defeat the Philadelphia Fusion. The Fusion are a good team. It was a close match, but the Charge ultimately end up walking away with the victory. And finally, my big pick game for the day was the Shanghai Dragons taking on the Vancouver Titans. Vancouver Titans did walk away with that one thanks to incredible play from Hacksall and Hureg. It's just not much you can say about it. It was just very good play from them. The Dragons didn't come out as ready. We go to Friday. We have the Washington Justice walking away with the victory over the Toronto Defiant. So my week at that point in time was real great. I was 0-5. That's a great streak to go on there. Justice looked okay. No Lulsish or Elivote yet, but that is something that is coming soon. I assume whenever they get their visa situation sorted out, we'll be seeing them. But that'll be a team to watch as they start to improve upon their roster and build it now so that when we get into the next season, things will be a little bit different. Next was the Dallas Fuel falling to the London Spitfire. The London Spitfire are looking very good in this meta as people thought they would. So they're a team that I expect to just keep improving as this meta continues. My big pick for Friday was the San Francisco Shock and the Seoul Dynasty. San Francisco Shock walking out with the victory, rotating their DPS. Striker played, Sinatra played, Rascal played, Architect played, Smurf played. I think a team that has a lot of stuff they can do. This is a very scary team. A lot of players that they can swap in and out, a lot of movable pieces. This is a team that really has what they need to win this season because they can run different heroes and they can run specific players to run those specific heroes just for certain maps and whatnot, and it's going to be very dangerous, this Shock team, going forward. Finally, Philadelphia Fusion falling to the Chengdu Hunters, a team that I thought would have a really good stage this stage, losing 2 games to teams that are middle-of-the-pack teams. And yes, the Fusion are a middle-of-the-pack team, but I think most people, myself included, put them a little bit higher than the rest of the middle-of-the-pack teams, but maybe we shouldn't be doing that based on how they performed this week. Moving on to Saturday, LA Valiant, 3-2 victory over the Paris Eternal, very close match. I believe it was either a reverse sweep or stopped reverse sweep. I have to check just to make sure I am correct about that. Valiant, of course, are a team that I'm very excited to see continue to play. I really like the Valiant. I think they play very fun. Yes, it was a stopped reverse sweep. They're a very fun team to watch. Soon did not get his full revenge. But this is definitely two teams that are really fighting for that top 12 spot. The Valiant need all the wins they can get. They really need to work to get to that point. We'll get to the standings obviously later in the video. You'll see where they are, but a very close race there for that 12 spot. It's going to be exciting to see. Next, Guangzhou Charge took on the Boston Uprising and walked away victorious. Guangzhou looking very good in this meta. Fraggy was released. He hit the stage again. Fraggy back, as well as Bishu. The world isn't ready for this, and it'll be very exciting to see how the Charge continue to implement these two players into their roster going forward. I'm excited to see it. My big pick for Saturday was LA Gladiators taking on the Houston Outlaws. I didn't think this should have been my big pick game, but I thought a lot of these games was pretty one-sided. I thought the Gladiators would win this game pretty easily, and boy, was I wrong. The Outlaws are continuing to play well. They're continuing to impress me, and yeah, I mean, it's a very, very good showing for them and a good way to start this stage after dropping the series against the Eternal. Finally, a game that I really did not expect to go the way it did. The Atlanta Reign beat the Hangzhou Sparks. The Atlanta Reign really trying to get that top 12 spot. They're doing a lot to spoil the Valiant, to spoil the Outlaws, to spoil potentially the Charge and the Hunters, though they are currently sitting in that top 12 spot. With the Reign being in the Atlantic Division, their schedule is going to be much easier going forward than a team like the Valiant. So the road for the Reign is very clear for how to get the top 12. Beating the Spark will help them get there. Sunday, we had the Shanghai Dragons taking on the Seoul Dynasty. That was my big pick game for the day, and I had that one correct. Moving on to the London Spitfire taking on the Toronto Defiant, a victory for the Spitfire. Vancouver Titans beat the Florida Mayhem as everyone expected, and the Chengdu Hunters beat the Boston Uprising. So it was a rough start to the week, but closed out the week in good fashion to finish the week at 8-8 on big pick games 2-2. So not too bad, but it definitely could be better. As we go ahead and look at the future week and the next matches we got, will I learn my lesson about the new meta and how it actually looks? We'll find out. But we're going to start, of course, by taking a look at week 2 for Stage 4. And the first match is the Guangzhou Charge against the London Spitfire. This is going to be a really good match, I think. Charge are looking very good. The Spitfire looking very good. Almost made this my big pick game, but I think the last game is just a little bit better. But very close. Picking the Spitfire, though, I think the Spitfire in general have been just a little bit better than the Charge. And the Charge, of course, are still meshing with some of these new additions. The Spitfire are a team that have been the same team pretty much forever. And it's a team that I don't really think is anywhere close to slowing down. So Spitfire are my pick for this one, though. This one could definitely go either way. Next is the Florida Mayhem taking on the Washington Justice. I'm picking the Washington Justice, of course. They just walked away with a win against a not great opponent in the Toronto Defiant, but an opponent that shows that the Justice are definitely on a level to surpass some of these other teams towards the bottom of the rankings. Florida Mayhem are currently the team at the bottom of the rankings. Two teams that have been eliminated from season playoff contention. This match victory could give the Justice that room to really distance themselves from the Mayhem, and a 2-match lead isn't bad, so that's why I'm picking the Justice for this one, and I think they've looked better as a whole. Next, the Shanghai Dragons take on the Toronto Defiant. That one should be an easy match victory, in my opinion, for the Dragons. They've looked a lot better. Defiant have been struggling, and I think that that is a match that should go pretty easily in the favor of the Dragons. Next is the LA Valiant taking on the Seoul Dynasty. This is my big pick game. Two very good teams. This is easily the toughest match I have had to pick so far. this stage. Obviously, it's only been 2 weeks, but this is probably the toughest game to pick. I'm gonna go with the Valiant. I think the Valiant have looked better as a whole this stage, so I think that, or this like kind of more recent play, stage 3, stage 4. So I think the Valiant will have a tough time beating the Seoul Dynasty. The Seoul Dynasty are a very good team. When you have a player like Fleta who can play pretty much anything, it's very tough to win. This one is a 50-50. It's a toss-up, but I think the Valiant walk away victorious. Moving on to Friday, New York Excelsior take on the Paris Eternal. Once again, if New York can win this match, they win the Atlantic Division. The Philadelphia Fusion are eliminated from any possibility of winning the Atlantic Division. It's just between the New York Excelsior and the London Spitfire. But New York, if they win this match, they lock themselves up a division win. I think they do it against the Eternal, a team who are playing well, but I still think New York should learn from their play against the Gladiators, build upon that, improve upon that, and get the win. Moving on, we have my big pick game, which is the Houston Outlaws taking on the Philadelphia Fusion. This is another tough one to pick, another 51-49% essentially, but the Outlaws' victory over the Gladiators really impressed me, and it gave me hope that this team is doing well. The Fusion are struggling. They lost to Chengdu. They lost to Guangzhou. Two teams that are not bad, but certainly teams that the Fusion should be able to beat in a meta where they were assumed to be a much stronger team. Houston Outlaws have already shown more this stage than the Fusion have. I'm picking the Outlaws to win this one. Moving on is the Chengdu Hunters against the LA Gladiators. I am picking the Gladiators. I think they look better than the Hunters. They got the win against New York. Yes, they lost to Houston. But I think the Gladiators still looked stronger this stage in their couple of matches than the Hunters did. Finally, Friday, rounding that out, we have the Guangzhou Charge against the Hangzhou Spark. Another match I almost wanted to make my big pick game. I'm picking the Charge. I think it's an interesting pick, to be quite honest with you. One that I don't feel fully confident in, but I also wouldn't feel fully confident picking the Spark either. The Charge have looked good. They have been playing well from the end of Stage 3 now into Stage 4. This is a team that I 100% expect to do good things this stage. I think they will be a team competing in the top 12 come the end of the season. They're sitting there now. Their differential is not bad. They can definitely get some of these wins. They have some tough opponents, obviously. They play the Spark. They have to play the New York Excelsior still. So there are definitely some matches in here they can lose. But I think they keep their matches close. They win the games they should win. They should walk away with a top 12 finish. Moving on to Saturday, Atlanta Reign taking on the Paris Eternal. I think that'll be a fantastic matchup. I think the Reign win that one. I've been more impressed with the Reign so far than the Eternal. And to me, this is a match that goes the way of the Reign. Next, we have the Florida Mayhem taking on the London Spitfire. I think the Spitfire walk away with this one. Like I said before, when I had the prediction against the Charge, I think they've looked better. This is a meta that really suits them. It fits their strengths. I think they should only get better as this stage progresses. So Spitfire are my pick for this one. Next, we have the Dallas Fuel against the LA Valiant. I think the Valiant walk away with this one. The Fuel are a team that I have not been impressed by in quite a bit of time. This is a very good week potentially for the Valiant. They could jump up several spots in the rankings if matches go the way they need them to go. They could pass the Chengdu Hunters. They could pass the Dallas Fuel. That's a huge deal, a huge thing to realize, a huge thing to talk about, and a huge thing to bring up when you look at where this Valiant team is and how close they are to getting to that top 12. They're on the verge. They just need to get some of these wins and hope that some of these teams ahead of them start to drop some matches. Finally, we have my big pick game for Saturday, which is the LA Gladiators versus San Francisco Shock. First time these two teams matched up, the Shock fell to the Gladiators back in Stage 1. Now it's Stage 4. They're matching up once more. It's going to be a great match, I think. I think that the Shock will walk away victorious. They've improved a lot, and while the Gladiators have as well, there's no decay the last time these two teams played. The Shock they're so much better than the last time these two teams played. The Shock, to me, are the team that walk away with the victory. I cannot talk tonight. Next, we move on to Sunday, August 4th, where we have my big pick game of the day, which is the Atlanta Reign taking on the Houston Outlaws. That match looks phenomenal. I think it'll be a fantastic matchup between two teams that have been looking pretty good this stage. The Atlanta Reign, though, really impressed me with their win against the Spark. They could definitely come out big and get a huge statement win over the Outlaws, a team who are also competing to get into that playoffs. This is something that could really help out a team like the Valiant, a team like the Fuel, the Hunters, the Charge. If some of these teams below them are losing, it gives them some room. So it's a huge match for both these teams for staying in that top 12 or making it into that top 12. I'm excited to see how it goes, but that should be a good match. Next, Philadelphia Fusion take on the Toronto Defiant. I think the Fusion end their skid against the Defiant. The Defiant have not looked good this stage. They are a team that look to be in a major rebuilding process, so we'll see how things go for them, but I think the Fusion win that one. Vancouver Titans take on the Washington Justice. A pretty one-sided affair in my eyes. The Titans go from playing the Dragons to having to play Florida and the Washington Justice in back-to-back weeks. Not bad for them. Back-to-back matches against the two bottom teams in the league. They definitely won that one there, getting the good end of the draw there. Finally, we have the Chengdu Hunters taking on the New York Excelsior. Very close match, I think it'll be, but I think the New York Excelsior should ultimately walk away with the victory, but I wouldn't be surprised if Chengdu can pull this one away. New York has looked they've looked strange recently. They haven't looked like the same New York team that did well in Stage 1 or did well in some points in Stage 2. Stage 3, they started to kind of look a little bad and weird and weak, and now it's starting to happen again, I think, for this team in Stage 4. They don't look great. I thought they made some questionable decisions and whatnot, but I think that this is the kind of thing where you look at how you performed in your first match of the stage, you come back out, you improve upon it the second time around. So that's that. Those are all my picks for this week. Let's move on now to the overall league standings. We don't need to look at these divisional standings anymore. They don't really mean anything. We'll take a look now at just our league standings. As you can see, very, very, very close race here. A lot of teams really fighting to make it into that top 12. The Valiant are a team that are right on the outside. Incredibly close to their goal, but they still have some obstacles in their way that are keeping them out, and we will have to see how they fare going forward. But they're one of the teams to watch, in my opinion. They are going to be a very exciting team to keep an eye on. If you are a fan of that team, definitely keep your eye on them because it is going to be certainly exciting to watch. But obviously, we can see where our top teams are. Top teams, they don't change very much. It's been pretty consistent with who has been at the top of these standings. Vancouver Titans still up there, sitting pretty. No one really touching them at all. So they're a team that I would expect to, for the most part, stay up there. But I guess we'll have to see what happens because things always could change dramatically for them. Boston Uprising team really struggling, 8-15 minus 23 there, sitting towards the bottom. Let's see what happens with them. But these standings are pretty simple. Not much different than what we've been seeing from them recently. So that's really all I have to say about those. So if you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing. It means a whole bunch to the channel if you do. But I am going to get out of here. Thank you so much once again for watching. Let me know down below how you think this week will go, how you think this meta has been so far. But until next time, I am going to get out of here. So, yeah. Bye-bye.